Hello, welcome back to another episode of Three at the Back. Unfortunately, Farhan is still serving his red card suspension for the second game. And once again, we are here to talk to you about Ralph Rangnick at Manchester United, the interim manager that has the world going crazy. Anyway, as you may have watched us speak about who he is before, if you haven't, click the link in the description to find the video and watch that before you come back here. But anyway, this video will be about what we expect Ralph Rangnick to do tactically and how he's gonna use the squad at his disposal and transfer market so.
Yeah,
So, Afif, historically, Rangnick has used multiple formations, but we're going to stick to his most preferred one, which is the 4-2-2.
yeah.
So what do we have there?
I think if you look at all the formations he's been using, it's either 3-4-3 or 4-2-2 or 4-4-2. So what you can see in all those formations is the double six, as I mentioned in the first video. The double six is pivotal because they believe that you should attack quickly, but you should not be prone to getting countered. They want that protection. So you see a lot of the time, if you look at Leipzig, you see Hausenberg was the fullback that stayed back a little, whilst Mukiele or Klosterman was progressing forward. So you see a defend with the five and an attack with the five kind of philosophy, where they attack with like a five wide like that, and it's sort of like a two double sixes, and you have a left back slotting in a little bit with the two center backs. So you defend with a five, you attack with
It's
a five.
almost like a 3-5 formation in attack is what we're saying.
Yeah. So
but I think with United, you could actually see the opposite way where he uses his left back to be attacking while his right back tucks in a bit.
Exactly, because Wan-Bissaka is something we've spoken about a lot. Is seeing Wan-Bissaka as that third center back kind of role, or slotting in at times. So again, the importance is in the double sixes, the two midfielders in the middle, because they should be able to read the game really well. You look at the types of players he's recruited: Lima, Sabitzer, Hoffenheim. I can't remember the guy's name, but
he had Kevin Campbell as well and Naby Keita was one of the sixers at
So you see
Leipzig.
So you see double sixes who are full of energy, and you also read the game really well. They know when to time their runs forward. Sabitzer in particular, as we've seen in the Champions League, especially, he times his runs so brilliantly. He's just at the edge of the box at the right time to take those long shots, which go in a lot of the times as well. And he scored from that position to score, I think, more than 10 goals and with more than 10 assists a season is just incredible. Shows his effectiveness. So yeah, I think the double six will be the most crucial thing, and that's the most crucial thing at this moment in time for United as well, because they haven't got the best in class for that position. So I think there will be at least one major signing, preferably I'd say to go for Calvin Phillips, and I hurts to say this, but possibly Declan Rice too, because a Chelsea boy, but I think you can't go for anyone more. I mean, I prefer Calvin Phillips to be good. I think it's more realistic going for Phillips.
If technically United could afford both of them, but I feel like they would go for one of them and try and pair him along with a youngster, maybe like Aurelien Tchouameni from Monaco, who's also very good reading the ball, a brilliant tackler, and he's very good at dribbling as well.
Also very expensive. I'd say another 50.
And also in his formations, Ralph Rangnick uses a double striker in common. He's used the 4-3-3 before, but he didn't prefer it, and he switched it back to a 4-4-2 diamond or a 4-2-2. But in the majority of his formations, he likes to use a double striker. This entails one pressing forward, usually a very quick, pacey, run in between the lines sort of striker, and a target man. Like United don't have a target man, but Ronaldo's leaping ability, Ronaldo's hold-up play, Ronaldo's ability to bring players into the attack could be perfectly suited for this target man.
They don't identify themselves as strikers. You look at Hoffenheim, Andre Kramaric was the guy who Ralph Rangnick turned to. So Ralph Kramaric is the sort of guy who likes to drift wide and take so long shots as well. Whilst the other striker, I think it was Adam Salai. Was it Salai? I can't remember. There's another
I mean,
keen striker.
if you take it more recently with his Leipzig time, it was Yusuf Poulsen as a target man and Timo Werner as a pressing forward.
I think it was more like Werner making those blindside runs as we spoke about in the first video, whilst Poulsen was approaching into the box. He's actually quite good in the box.
Poulsen scored, I think, a majority of his goals were inside the box, which appeals to Ronaldo as well. Now, the big issue with Ronaldo is, obviously, we spoke about this. Rangnick demands a press. He's not a half-ass manager who will not commit to a press. He wants the ball back. So Ronaldo, you've actually seen Ronaldo pressing in Champions League games as opposed to Premier League games. So there is the question of Ronaldo not being pressing and maybe 10 players have to cover for Ronaldo. But interestingly, I don't feel like that will be the case because I feel like Ronaldo will actually back the manager's plans if he trusts the manager. He's done that at Real Madrid with Jose. He used to be a good presser with Jose Mourinho.
But you see, the thing about this Rangnick guy is he likes counters. And I think Ronaldo is the best at countering, and he's always proved that he's best in teams that counter. You look at Real Madrid, you look at the prime Manchester United in 2008, you look at Juventus, who are very defensive, and you even look at Man United last season, who were countering teams. I thought they'd counter this season, but they weren't countering. So I think in that aspect, you think Ronaldo is a positive. He's one of the best when it comes to leading counter attacks. We saw it in the Euros as well with Portugal. I think what was that game? I think it was Germany. The way he drive from the corner kick. So yeah, I think that's a positive.
Yeah, the goal from the corner was against Germany. Yep.
The question now is, where does that leave players like Sancho? I mean, Sancho I think will have a place because he's actually really good off the ball.
Let's actually dive into what we look at his team, and we look at a 4-2-2. So obviously, I think we're both going to unanimously agree that De Gea will be in between the sticks because of his shot stopping and his overall leadership. I think we both agree that Wan-Bissaka will be a right back hyphen centre back who sort of tucks in during the attack. I think we both agree that Rafael Varane will be one of the starting centre backs. But here's where we actually did speak of Cabra, and we did speak about 3 United options as Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, and Eric Bailly. So now, obviously, Lindelof and Maguire are the best ball players out of the two. Maguire is the best aerially, whereas Lindelof is a bit. You could argue that Lindelof is actually a better passer than Maguire. Lindelof's more pacey, but the both of us actually felt like this opens up a pathway for Eric Bailly to make the squad because he's tenacious, he's fast, and he always goes in for a tackle. And that's sort of a Rangnick quality.
Possibly Axel Tuanzebe if he comes back too in the long term.
Axel Tuanzebe is there as well for long term. But for right now, I think Maguire will keep his spot solely based on reputation for the first couple of weeks while Rangnick adjusts to the squad. And future, it depends on what Rangnick sees in it, because Rangnick's not a manager who will keep a player because they are reputed. But for the first couple of weeks, as he gets initiated and he tries to build up chemistry, he might keep Maguire in. But we actually have a shout for Eric Bailly to be a long-term centre-back option for Manchester United if he stays fit.
Yeah, I mean, if he has that aggression we saw in Konate, Upamecano, and Mukiele as well. So I think that will work out. I think but the thing is, he has this rashness sometimes where he gets out of control. Doesn't get his runs right when he likes to go forward. So yeah, I think left back. I mean, I think he'll go for. I think Telles might have a chance, but
he had a famous interview where he said that United might need a left back, and he didn't really back Shaw. So maybe that will carry on and maybe Tellers will get more game time at Manchester United, especially with Shaw being injured right now.
And he likes that very offensive left back. We saw it, I think at Hoffenheim it was Plattenhardt, who's a really good
Yeah.
crosser. And now you had Angelino at Leipzig, who is really good at
Leipzig towards
attacking.
the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he'll go for Alex Telles in the long term, but I think Shaw has his place cemented for now.
And
We're
let's
moving
move
on to
on
the
to the
midfield.
double sixes.
Yeah. This is the problem position for United, really. It has been for a long time. Uh, I think I think he will play Van de Beek. I think Van de Beek is a I think Van de Beek is I think Van de Beek is very much like that Conrad Lima. He likes to he gets out of these these tense situations. He's good on the ball, and he can go forward as well. He gets in the box really well. So I see Danny Van de Beek getting a shoe in. But
Here's my I'm going to agree and disagree. I think Van de Beek will get game time, a lot of game time, more
yeah,
so under Rangnick than ever under Oli. But I am actually going to think about it, and I think in the bigger games, Manchester United fans won't like this, but we will see a lot of Fred and McTominay, I think, together.
come
And
on,
what I say to United fans is they're
come
going to have
on.
clear, distinguished roles. And I think that they look better under Ranjit than they did Oli. And I'm only saying it for the big games because even with Leipzig, he had the tendency to play double sixers in the bigger games. Whereas in the smaller games, he had the tendency to drop Sabitzer back into one of the pivots. So interestingly enough, in a game, like for example, if United play Norwich, he could actually put Bruno Fernandes into one of the double six and instruct him to play long balls from there. You could easily
Um,
see.
I think I think Bruno Fernandes will be given that Forsberg kind of role, which we've seen, where he doesn't have to work as much, but he has to work to some extent. But he's given that that license to roam around, come into the center at times, free roam while the left back overlaps. I think we'll be seeing that bit of that from Bruno. But I don't see Bruno having that work rate as Sabitzer. So I guess I disagree with you on that. I don't see that work rate. Let's be honest, Bruno Fernandes, you need to have him up there, a lot of the times. Because I don't see him a hard worker off the ball as much as Sabitzer. Of course, on the ball, brilliant, one of the best in the Premier League at this moment in time. But I just don't see him in that double six role.
It's not a case of Bruno Fernandes not being a bad off the ball worker. He's actually very hard working. It's the case that he's not the best tactical
Defensive.
presser. He runs to the other person, pressures them, but he doesn't really stop the passing lane. So maybe that's something that Ranjit will help. But to emphasize your point, I think he will go with Donny van de Beek, but the other player that he might go alongside is it's dependent on opposition. He could go Fred McTominay. I don't see Matic playing in this team because I don't think there is a pathway for an old halfback to come in. He likes these young, energetic, running players, and Matic is not one of them. So I don't think we see Matic in this team. But let's move on to the double camps, and obviously one of those spots is reserved for Bruno Fernandes. There's no if and or buts about it. Bruno Fernandes is one of those camps.
I think the right we could see Sancho, because Sancho is more hardworking than any of the other wingers. You've got Martial,
So there
Rashford,
is another name that
Greenwood.
United fans might be very happy to see right now. And Jesse Lingard looks like the type of Ralph Rangnick player. He's very hardworking off the ball.
Yeah, that's fair.
He makes direct runs, and he doesn't really like to go backwards. Even at West Ham, if you take the goal against Wolves, you saw him just never look back. He just kept looking forward, and he kept going and going. So maybe there's a pathway in which Jesse Lingard gets a spot in this team.
Again, if you're playing Van de Beek, Fred, Lingard, Fernandes, Ronaldo, and possibly Rashford, that front four has to start working hard, really, really hard, because
That has to be there.
you won't see Ronaldo, working as hard because I mean you have to keep him rested for every games every 3 days as well. And Bruno, yes, he works hard. I'm not saying he doesn't, but he's not gonna. He has to work on his pressing a lot. I think if you bring in Cavani, there might be room for that.
I actually see a lot of. So this is what I think that a lot of people get twisted in Rangnick is that yes, he's hardworking. Yes, he demands a lot, but it's not like under Rangnick's system there's constant running and constant chasing of the ball. He's actually very smart with his. See, it's not like pressing. I think a lot of people get that pressing is just running. It's wrong because the pressing is about positioning yourself between man and ball and man and ball and man. And I think Rangnick will master the ability to press without actually having to exert 100% of your effort there. So maybe Ronaldo will actually be able to press in this United team because of a system that he might implement.
Yeah, but do you see Greenwood having a role?
I think Greenwood will be more of a rotational player than he was as a favorite under Solskjaer. It's not a personal against Greenwood. I think he
Yeah, I
has to
mean,
improve his work
I
rate.
just I just love him. He's such a good finisher, Barcade in this league and even England, and both double-footed as well. I mean, it's sad because I mean, it's such a bright start to the season. Then
I think Greenwood's just the moment Greenwood realizes that players are ahead of him, he's going to work hard, improve his work because there's no saying maybe he starts pressing for a different manager. Maybe Ollie didn't want him to press as much. So you never say with this United team. So I think I'm going to agree with you when you said Sancho and Bruno because I think that's how we'll go, and I think Sancho will really benefit from being tucked in because he's very quick with his feet and he's always in those central areas. Even against Villarreal, his chance with his left foot came through a central area. So I think Sancho, I will agree with you. And moving on to forwards, we both sort of agreed that it'll be Ronaldo and Rashford. I don't think we had a big dispute about it. I think it was kind of evident that those two would play together.
yeah, I mean Rashford, we saw in the Leicester game in that small time he came on the runs he made. Really good. He's really good at those runs we've seen over the last few years. Uh, yeah, so I think Rashford. I think Ragnick will take his game to another level in terms of intensity. I mean, you look at the United coaches of the past. None of them are known for their intensity when it comes to off the ball work, whether it be Van Gaal, Mourinho, Moyes, even Ole. So I think these players are going to have something different, especially players who have been at the club for a long time.
It will
Like,
it will take a lot of adjusting for sure.
yeah, exactly. And
So
yeah,
just to recap, I think our starting 11 for the possible future with Rangnick is De Gea, Van Bissaka, Varane, a mix of Maguire, or Bailey. Shaw, I think right now, I think we have Shaw there, and we've got a dispute in the two double sixes because you go with Van der Beek and one of the Fred McTominay tandem, and I think Fred McTominay could actually play together a lot. So I think we haven't settled out there, so we'll give you both our midfields there. But attacking wise, we have Bruno Fernandes, Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, and Ronaldo, and we do see a slight chance for Lingard to find his way back into the team. But now, I think Rangnick is also in charge of, he has a role in transfer. So let's speak about who he potentially will get rid of in this Manchester United team. And let's start with Dean Henderson. You think a loan deal is coming in for Henderson? Because I don't think United will sell him. I think there's a loan deal in the works for him.
yeah, Henderson, and you could see the likes of Diego Dallo. I think one of the keepers should go. I think we have four keepers, don't you?
I'm pretty sure Henderson will get a loan deal out to get some game time and try and remake the England squad.
Yeah. What about Pogba?
Let's get to that. I mean, the centre backs, obviously Jones is gone. He's 100% gone. I don't think we can talk about it. I think everyone knows Jones is out. Telles Shaw is a good rotation.
Is Jones still at
Dalot,
United?
I mean,
Is he?
Jones is still at United. Yes, he hasn't played for 2 years, but he's still at United.
What's he been doing?
He's been injured for 2 years.
Oh,
Keep getting them checks, Jones. Anyway,
Yeah.
I actually see Dalot staying because he could have a lot of game-to-game changes between offensive fullback and defensive fullback. So I think he might keep Dalot in for that one reason. Now let's move on to the midfield and Paul Pogba. I hate to say it, but United have done the worst piece of business in football history. They've given a player out on free transfer. They've signed him for £89 million, and he's going to leave on a free transfer.
I mean, come on, you can't say bad. It's just
That's the worst piece of transfer in the history of football. You can't tell me otherwise.
I mean, I don't know what to say about it. Really, just bits and pieces here and there.
But you agree with me that Paul Pogba definitely doesn't have a future in a Ralph Rangnick system because he doesn't
Yeah,
really
it
put
doesn't have future, but
himself
perhaps
out there for the team.
I just didn't. I just never saw him with a proper partner at United. Really.
He's always been good in the midfield three, and United have never played him in the midfield three. So it's partly United's fault. It's partly Pogba's fault for never trying to adjust his game.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, come on. I don't see Fred and Maxos.
I think they'll both be at the club. I think
Yeah,
short term they might play together until one of them gets replaced by, like we said, Chouamani, Phillips, Declan Rice, one of those Ndidi, one of those types of players.
even Bissouma. I think Bissouma.
Bissouma, yeah, one of those types of players. I think those types of players will replace them. But I think short term we could see a lot of Fred and McTominay, which isn't disheartening because they'll be given better roles now. Anyways, move on to Nemanja Matic. I think he will be shown the exit door because Ralph Rangnick has a system that he tries to implement younger players. So I think Nemanja Matic is gone.
Martial?
Look, if Rangnick can get one of the worst working players in Martial to start working hard, he deserves a Nobel Prize.
I mean, you still believe he can get a Ballon d'Or, don't you? When you put that clause in his contract.
Look, some United fans are extremely deluded. They should not be given the microphone at any time in their life. But I'm telling you, if Ralph Rangnick can get Anthony Martial to start pressing the football vigorously, he deserves a Nobel Prize.
I think Cavani will be in the short term, but not in the long term. I mean, I think this could be the last season.
I would agree with you. I think he would be there. I mean, potentially, maybe this is his last season or next year is his last season, but I definitely don't see anything past that.
What are players is some French players like Mata, Andreas Pereira.
I think Ranjik, and looking at their next three candidates, Rodgers, Pochettino, and Ten Hag, they've all worked with very limited squads. So I feel like they'll try, especially Ranjik, will try and trim the squad as much as possible and give chances to young players to come in.
I think with Rangnick in charge, you'll go for Ten Hag. And I hate to see it.
Most likely because he's a very high pressing manager, but also Pochettino is a high pressing manager. So I really don't know who the next manager is, but I feel like one common thing is Mata, Jones, Pogba, Henderson, Matic, Martial, possibly Lingard. They'll all be gone, depending on how Lingard plays under Rangnick for the next. Depending on how Lingard plays it under the next 6 months with Rangnick.
Let's all be honest, we all wanted Lingard to go back to West Ham.
No, I'm a Manchester United fan. I can't say that.
Come on, you see the form of his life.
He was in the form of his life with United as well, but it just dipped out of nowhere.
No, it was good.
I'm not talking about this season. I'm talking about the season with Jose Mourinho, where Lingard and Pogba were amazing.
Yeah, I know, but like Lingard was just something else on the West Ham.
That's true. I mean, I would love to see whatever suits Jay Links the best he should do for himself, but I would love to see him be in United shirt. But yeah, I think trimming the squad is essential. We're going to see a 4-2-2 with a lot of counter pressing and a lot of pressing traps, like we mentioned in the opposite video, in the other video rather. which you should still watch. Link is in the description. But on that note, I think if you can figure out what to expect from a Ralph Rangnick system at Manchester United, and we'll just have to wait and see what his consultancy years look like at United.
I mean, we've seen the best out of his teams under the consultancy, really, but it's same as his impact is when he's managing teams. What we will see is efficient spending. You won't see him splashing 90 million on Pogba like players and stuff like that. You won't see, this impulsive buying, like, going for Ronaldo and Cavani at the last moment. Be planned, structured, well dealt with.
The
Given
only
that,
the only downside of Ralph Rangnick, you could make an argument, is that he's never had a job with this much pressure and this much expectation like Manchester United.
he also changes jobs quite frequently, doesn't he?
But I
Three,
feel
four
like
years.
this is a job that he's wanted for a while. He's always, I think there was a report that after Leipzig, he said he wanted to be the director of football at United, and he's finally getting a chance to do that. So maybe if it goes well, he could extend his contract, but that's a big if at United, especially.
But like, isn't it reported that it's only 2 years as a consultant?
But maybe there's a chance for extension. It all depends on these next 2.5 years at Manchester United with Ralph Rangnick.
Let's be honest, we all just want, United to be back in those rivalries. So it's a step in the right direction for Premier League lovers, not just, United
Well,
lovers as well.
and hopefully it will be interesting to see him in the Premier League for a long, long time. So Ralph Rangnick, there's your video about Ralph Rangnick.
Like, subscribe, and
Sure it. Thank you for watching, guys. We will see you again on another day. Hopefully when Farhan's suspension has been lifted.
yeah, wherever he is. Bye.